Discover the incredible hidden truth, 7 heartwarming lessons on life-changing willpower revealed. In the faded heart of Crestwood, where the slices of life are as comforting as the pancakes served at the local diner, Emma hustled through her shift with a smile that masked her weariness. At just 30, she was a single mom raising 2 kids. Bills piled high, constantly knocking on the door of her small home, but Emma's resilient spirit held strong. Every morning as the sun cast golden rays over the rolling cornfields, she poured coffee, flipped pancakes, and wiped down the counter, her heart longing for a future where her kids wouldn't have to struggle like she did. But life can throw unexpected challenges. Just as the hope of a brighter tomorrow began to dim, Emma's elderly neighbor, Mr. Thompson, fell ill. A retired veteran, Mr. Thompson was the kind of man who would give you the shirt off his back, often sharing stories of bravery and sacrifice that warmed the chilly Midwestern nights. Without hesitation, Emma knew she had to help. Organizing a community fundraiser seemed daunting, but the thought of Mr. Thompson in need sparked a fire in her heart. As the diner buzzed with life, friends became strangers, united by compassion. They shared a meal, laughter, and purpose. But the kindness she inspired also reignited old wounds. Emma's estranged father called in disdain, criticizing her for seeking help from the community instead of chasing corporate success. Their heated debate echoed through Emma's mind, leaving her chest tight. Was she a failure for choosing connection over ambition? Could her choice to rely on others really be the right path? In the chaos of emotions, Emma stumbled upon Mr. Thompson's hidden journals while cleaning his attic. Each page became a lifeline, unraveling not only his story but the collective journey of their town. Lessons of perseverance and willpower jumped out at her, igniting a sense of purpose within Emma's spirit. As she immersed herself in Mr. Thompson's reflections, she felt hope and strength seep back into her veins. People from all walks of life came together to support one of their own, challenging the norms of what success meant to them. Faces softened, tensions melted, and bonds deepened amidst shared suffering. But just when it began to feel harmonious, Emma faced her father head-on in a heart-wrenching confrontation. Merit versus compassion. It was a standoff she never wanted, yet knew was necessary. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With emotions bubbling like a pot about to boil over, Emma found herself standing toe-to-toe with her father. They had avoided pressing issues for too long, both clinging to different definitions of success. Can forgiveness bloom in a garden of harsh words, or is the rift too vast? The tension crackled in the air, each word heavy with unspoken pain. Emma's mind raced, she could either wield her newfound strength or let it shatter. As doubt clouded her mind, the weight of her decisions pressed down harder than ever. What would define her? Amidst the raucous laughter spilling from the diner and the whispers of the community rallying for Mr. Thompson, Emma understood that in a world obsessed with ambition, perhaps the true measure of success lies in the strength to love and connect with one another. What would she choose to embrace? The air was thick with unspoken tension as Emma stared into her father's piercing eyes, a mixture of anger and hurt swirling between them. He had always been a man of principles, a steadfast believer in climbing the corporate ladder. But here she was, rooted in a world where connection and community meant everything. Why do you insist on living like this? He demanded, arms crossed defensively over his chest. Emma's heart raced. Because this is real. This is life. I'm building something more meaningful than a paycheck. The diner around them was a stark contrast to their fraught conversation. Laughter bubbled from the kitchen, the smell of syrup hung sweetly in the air, and the hum of friendship vibrated amidst the flurry of plates. Yet here she was, in a battle echoing of past grievances and future uncertainties. Her father shook his head, disappointment etched into the lines of his brow. It's not enough. You deserve better. Your kids deserve better. This small-town mindset will only hold you back. His words stung like a bee, infusing her with a sudden rush of self-doubt. Was this her destiny? To remain in Crestwood and struggle for every penny? Still, deep down, she could sense the warmth emerging from the pages of Mr. Thompson's journals. Those revelations about resilience and the strength of community echoed loudly in her mind. Do you really think success is just about money? Emma shot back, her voice rising against the backdrop of clattering dishes. I'm teaching my kids about love, about helping others. Isn't that worth anything? Her father opened his mouth to retort but was met with the steady resolve in her eyes. In that moment, she saw not just a confrontation but the potential for connection. Could there be a path to understanding, however challenging? Sensing the shift in her demeanor, he softened. Emma, sometimes, it feels like you're giving more than you can afford. What happens when the world lets you down? The truth is, Dad, the world can be harsh, but it's also filled with kindness if you look for it, she said, her voice steady. Mr. Thompson's struggle showed me that we are stronger together, not alone. The walls of his stoicism began to crack. Maybe he did see the fervor in her eyes, the hopes woven into her words. She took a step closer, lowering her tone. I don't expect you to accept it right away, but can we at least try to meet in the middle? I need your support, even if it's hard for you. Silence reached out like a hand, wrapping around them in that crowded diner. He blinked, the weight of her pleas settling in. An old habit began to emerge. He turned away, attempting to mask the flicker of doubt that crossed his face. Yet, she felt a flicker of hope, their dynamic was shifting. Maybe this was the start of a bridge. Just then, the bell above the diner door jingled, pulling both their attention. A young couple, newly engaged and glowing with happiness, entered hand in hand. Their laughter filled the room, spilling over Emma and her father. For a moment, the warmth of love shone brightly, stirring something profound within them. See? Emma whispered, glancing at her father. Love drives people. It can make everything better. He was quiet, but she could see the gears turning in his mind, a new understanding beginning to form. Perhaps her path didn't have to redefine his, perhaps they simply needed to redefine each other's perception of success. Emma took a deep breath, knowing their conversation was far from over. Yet as she looked around the diner, the faces of friends and neighbors ignited her spirit. Unity was tangible. If only her father could see that, too. As they both stood there, lost in thought, the community sighed collectively under the weight of their truth. What would happen next? Would Emma's belief in connection resonate deeply enough to bridge the gap with her father? And would the warmth of their town help him see the beauty in her choice? Above their heads, a single light flickered on and off, echoing the uncertainty and promise of both family and community. Emma's heart raced as she wondered how far she could push this fragile bond. Could deeper love replace years of resentment? And as she lifted her gaze back to her father, filled with anticipation, what if this was just the beginning of a deeper journey into understanding? The young couple settled into a booth nearby, their laughter intertwining with the chatter of other patrons. Emma could still feel the warmth radiating from their shared moment. It was a stark contrast to the chill that had settled between her and her father. Maybe they're right, she murmured, her gaze still locked on the couple. Maybe love really is enough. Maybe. Her father's voice was softer now, almost contemplative, yet uncertainty lingered in his tone. He leaned back slightly, a gesture of opening up rather than the usual tense posture. She took it as a good sign. You've always valued hard work above all else, Dad. And I respect that. But why can't we value love and community just as much? Emma's heart pounded. She was walking a delicate line, feeling both hopeful and fearful of her father's response. Because the world isn't built that way. Love doesn't pay the bills. The familiar steeliness crept back into his voice, but it was laced with something new, a hint of wounded softness. She saw the struggle within him, the push and pull of his beliefs and the undeniable love for her. It can help us through hard times, she countered, her words pouring out with more passion. When things get tough, it's the connections we forge that see us through. Remember Mom? It was her laughter that filled our home, that kept us going through the rough patches. At the mention of her mother, silence draped itself over their table once more. Emma's heart ached, remembering the way her mother had woven love into every inch of their lives. It was like the comforting smell of apple pie wafting through the air and the way her mother's laughter echoed in that old, creaky house. Yeah, I remember. Her father's expression clouded, shadows dancing across his face. She did keep us together. But the world it took her away. The vulnerability in his words pierced through Emma's heart. In that moment, she saw a man not just defined by his career or ideals, but a father who had experienced deep loss, grappling with how to ensure safety for his family. Dad, Emma's voice softened. I'm not asking you to forsake everything you believe in. I just want you to consider that there are different paths to success. One that doesn't mean sacrificing love for financial security. The tension lingered, thick like fog, but something had shifted. The flicker of hope she felt earlier now ignited a flame. He looked deeply into her eyes as if seeing her for the first time. And then a voice chimed in from the next booth, breaking their moment. You're both right. It was an older woman, hair silvered with age but a sparkle in her eye. Love is what makes us whole, but hard work helps us stay afloat. You need both. Her father nodded slowly, processing the words. A touch of curiosity began to emerge in his expression. Emma seized the moment. What if we tried to find that balance together? Not just for me, but for both of us? I don't know why I've been so stubborn, he admitted finally, scrubbing a hand over his face. Maybe I've been scared. Scared of what? Emma leaned in, her chest tightening with anticipation. Could this be the opening she needed? Of losing you. The raw honesty hung heavy in the air. Emma didn't know if she should cry or smile. As the weight of his confession settled, the bell above the door chimed again, bringing in a gust of cold air that seemed to sweep in fresh possibilities. The bustle of customers, the clink of coffee cups, and the chatter of her community swirled around them. In that moment, Emma dared to dream. What if their relationship could evolve? What if love and community could bring her father to a place of understanding? But beneath the swell of hope was a gnawing question. How would he react when faced with the hard truths of their past? Was he ready to confront the fears that had dictated his choices? Looking back at her dad, she saw the flicker of uncertainty still dancing in his eyes. Their journey toward understanding had only just begun. As they sat opposite each other, a bridge beginning to form between their hearts, Emma's pulse raced. The moment felt pivotal. What new revelations would emerge when they pry open the old wounds? What buried truths lay waiting to be unearthed? Would they find a way to grow together, or would the past continue to overshadow their potential for connection? Dad, there's something we need to talk about. Emma's voice trembled slightly, each word crafting a cautious path forward. She wasn't sure where it would lead, but she couldn't ignore the urgency bubbling inside her. His brow furrowed deeper, the lines etched in his face more pronounced as he leaned in, the table between them suddenly feeling like a chasm. What are you thinking about, Emma? I mean, what happened after Mom? She hesitated, her breath catching, after her passing. I know it's painful to relive, but it's a part of us, a part of you. We can't ignore it any longer. The flicker of fear in his eyes twisted into something deeper, regret, perhaps. You're right, it's just I thought protecting you meant locking it all away. I didn't want to burden you. But it's already there, Dad." She felt the emotional weight of her own words, the truth that could no longer be hidden. "You lost her, and so did I, but we both dealt with it alone. We need to confront our loss together." A silence enveloped them. In that moment, a waiter passed by carrying a stack of plates, rattling the stillness with a clatter of dishes. Emma watched, her heart pounding, as her father's eyes drifted down to the worn tabletop, avoiding her gaze. It felt like the memories were rushing to the surface, demanding acknowledgement. "I never knew how to share that grief," he finally murmured, his voice breaking just a little, fragile like glass about to shatter. "Every time I touched the subject, it felt like I was reaching into fire. I wanted to stay strong for you." "Strength doesn't mean shutting everything out," she replied softly, her voice steadying. "We can be strong by being open, by facing it together." He looked up, his eyes shimmering under the warm coffee shop lights. "Being strong feels like being alone. I didn't want to lose you too." For the first time, Emma understood the entirety of his struggle. She reached across the table, setting her hand atop his. "You won't lose me, Dad. I'm here. I want to be here for you and with you. But we have to bury the past properly, not just patch it up." She felt a tremor run through him, a fear inching its way out from behind his defenses. "You're asking for a lot, Emma. What if it hurts too much? What if opening this door changes everything? Maybe. But isn't it worth the risk?" Her voice quivered but held firm. As their eyes locked, she noticed a glimmer of realization in his expression. This moment hadn't just opened a door, it had cracked the foundation of walls they had built high and thick. To dismantle them would take honesty and time, but she sensed a willingness in him. "I never intended to let my grief be a weapon against you," he said softly, his voice hardly above a whisper. She squeezed his hand tighter, feeling the warmth radiate between them. "It's not about blame. It's about healing. And healing happens when we share our stories." The young couple nearby burst into laughter again, and Emma momentarily drifted in their joy before rushing back to their reality. "We can't let our shared grief define us. We need to let love and connection rebuild our future instead." He nodded, slowly but purposefully, as if shifting an entire world of thought. "Tell me, where do we start? Maybe we can talk about the good things Mom did while sharing the bad." Emma paused, lifting her chin, searching his eyes for hope. The threads of her mother's memory hung between them like golden thread, waiting to be woven into something new, something beautiful. As they began to share those small memories, laughter echoed with the bittersweet taste of pain, hearts drawn raw but healing. And still, lingering at the edges, shadows whispered secrets of deeper wounds yet to uncover. Would they face the darkness together? Or would buried truths surface to threaten the fragile connection they were starting to form? Emma didn't know, but inside her a cautious hope began to unfurl. Emma took a deep breath as a rush of memories danced through her mind. The way her mother would hum while baking, the sweet smell of chocolate chip cookies filling their home, and how her laughter could chase away the clouds on the darkest days. Each memory felt like a fragile blossom, sweet yet coated in the weight of absence. "Do you remember when Mom tried to teach us how to ride our bikes? I was so scared," she said, allowing a smile to grow, hoping it would warm the heaviness in the air. Her father chuckled, the sound a tentative echo. "You crashed into the rosebush on that first try. You cried for a bit, then you wanted to try again. I was worried you'd never want to get back on that bike. I was stubborn like that," she said, her heart swelling. "And she just kept cheering me on, telling me I could do it. That's what made her special, her belief in us." "Yes," he replied, his voice gaining strength. "Your mother had this way of seeing potential, even in the things that scared us. I guess I let grief dim that light for me." Emma noticed the way he clenched his jaw, as if battling the ghosts of regret. "It's okay to feel lost, Dad. I've felt that way too." He nodded, tears glistening in his eyes. "I thought if I stayed strong, it would somehow render her absence less painful. But it's only made me feel more isolated. Strength isn't just about avoiding pain. It's sharing it too, Emma replied, her throat tight with emotion. And I think Mom would want us to share not just the heartaches, but the joy she brought into our lives. As they spoke, around them, the coffee shop buzzed with life, a lively hum of voices and laughter. It was a stark contrast to the world they were uncovering, yet somehow it felt comforting. Emma's heart thrummed in her chest, a beacon of connection pushing through the storm they had waded into together. "Can we talk about the day we received the news?" she asked tentatively. "I need to know how you felt at that moment. We've both carried that day, silently bearing our grief. I want to know what it was like for you." His expression shifted, the pain rolling in waves across his face. "I remember the moment I received the call. It felt like the earth had split beneath me. I could hardly breathe. I lost everything I held dear, my partner, my best friend. It was as if a light had gone out. And it hurt me too," Emma replied, her voice soothing yet firm. "But we can shine a different kind of light if we let her memory guide us." "Emma," he paused, grappling with the rawness of truth. "I should have been there for you. I failed when I let grief take over. I've been so focused on surviving that I forgot to live." Tears blurred Emma's sight, but she blinked them away, determined. "We're here now. Let us not waste the time we have left. Let us remember her together." He took her hands, fingers interlocking, and the warmth ignited hope between them. They shared stories about her laugh, her terrible dancing, and the way she always found joy in the smallest moments. Hours slipped by unnoticed as they wove her legacy into their hearts, each story a thread stitching them back together. Yet, a hollow ache still lingered. There were parts of their past neither had addressed, a darkness still lurking. As they wrapped up their shared memories, a heavy silence settled. "Dad, I really feel like we've only scratched the surface. There are still things we need to face, things we need to say." His expression shifted, eyes clouded with caution. "Do you really think it's time? Doesn't it feel like it?" she asked, the weight of their shared glance palpable. "What if opening this door leads us to more healing than we ever thought possible?" He hesitated, exhaustion etched across his features, yet there was a flicker of light, a willingness to confront whatever lay ahead. Emma's heart raced with both dread and determination. "I think it might be time to face everything we've buried. Together." With that, they both knew a new chapter awaited. One that echoed with the promise of truth, remnants of love tangled with sorrow. Would they embrace all of it? Would they dare to venture deeper into the shadows? Emma held her breath, fear and hope intertwining as she awaited her father's answer. Emma watched her father's expression shift as if the weight of their past pressed down on him, pushing him into a decision. Finally, after a long pause, he nodded slowly. "Okay, Emma. Let us do this. But I warn you, it won't be easy." "I'm ready," she replied, her voice steady, though her heart raced. He sighed and leaned back, his gaze drifting away as if he were searching for the words in the busy cafe around them. It was not just the news itself. It was how everything changed after. Emma nodded, feeling the heavy air between them thickening. "It felt like I was standing on a path, and suddenly, that path split in two. One side led to this dark forest of grief, and the other the memories of Mom shining like bright flowers in the sun." He looked back at her, eyes glistening. "I wanted to walk that path with you, but I was so lost, trapped by my own pain. Then let us find a way through it together," she said, squeezing his hand tighter. He took a deep breath, his voice shaking. "Do you remember her last words to me?" It was before she left that day. Emma focused on his face, trying to grasp the memory he was pulling from the depths of his heart. "What did she say?" "I was so wrapped up in my own worries. I didn't realize how much she was carrying too. She just wanted to be heard. She looked at me and said, don't let life weigh you down, love is always the answer. I was too busy to listen. Tears brimmed Emma's eyes. You loved her, though. You both did everything you could. It wasn't anyone's fault. But that's just it, Emma, he continued, his voice gaining strength. I've carried that guilt. If I had just listened, if I had been there even for a moment after saying goodbye, maybe she would still be here, Emma finished, her heart clenching. But we can honor that love now. We can listen to each other, be there for each other, let her spirit guide us. He looked at her, pride and sadness mingling in his gaze. You're right. We need to carry her memory with us, but also let it help us move forward. There was a moment of silence, their shared pain and hope holding them tightly. Then Emma gathered her courage. Dad, what do we do now? How do we navigate these feelings? I think we need to face the hardest truths, he admitted quietly. There are stories I avoided, times I chose silence over conversation. We shared so much love, but there were also things left unsaid that hurt us both. Emma swallowed hard. What things? The sound of laughter from other tables filled the air, but it felt distant now, like a separate world. Her father's eyes darkened, memories swirling in his mind. There were times I got angry, not just grief, but anger at myself, at life. I didn't protect you from those feelings. I thought shutting down would shield you, but it only built a wall between us. But I saw it, Dad, Emma said, emotion flooding her voice. I felt it too. I couldn't understand how to reach you. A single tear fell from his eye. And I pushed you away. I'm so sorry. I thought being strong meant I had to carry it alone. That's not true, she whispered. We should have leaned on each other. It's okay to be vulnerable. We wouldn't be weak for sharing our pain. I promise I'll do better, he said, determination breaking through the sadness. We can't change the past, but maybe, just maybe, we can rewrite our future the way we honor her. He paused, and Emma held her breath. What if we create a legacy for Mom? Something that keeps her spirit alive, like volunteering at the local shelter or starting a small community project together? Emma's heart fluttered with excitement. That would be incredible. We could help others feel the love and joy she spread in her own special way. Then let us make this promise, he said, his voice steadying with renewed purpose. We won't let her memory fade, and we won't let our own pain isolate us. Together, we'll keep moving forward. Caught in this moment of hope, Emma felt something shift inside her, a warmth spreading through her chest. But the shadows of their past lingered at the edges. And what about the things we've never talked about? She asked, hesitant yet brave. You still have those burdens. I have mine. Are we ready to face those together? Her father's smile faltered, and his eyes once again clouded with uncertainty. Maybe it's not just about moving forward. Maybe it's also about letting go. Emma's heart raced at the echo of a possible truth. Would the darkness they had carried for so long finally come to light? She held her breath, unsure what the next confession would unleash. Emma shifted in her seat, the conversation hanging heavily in the air. She could feel her father's internal struggle, the part of him that wanted to shield her from any more pain, battling with the need to finally break free from the chains of their past. Dad, what do you mean by letting go? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The words felt fragile, as if speaking them too forcefully might shatter the moment. It's hard to explain, he said, rubbing his temples as if to massage the thoughts from his mind. I think we both have to forgive ourselves. Not just for how things turned out, but for how we dealt with it. It's hard to let go of anger and guilt, but holding on to them doesn't honor her. Emma's breath caught in her throat. Could it really be that simple yet profoundly difficult? She had always thought of forgiveness as something distant, a far-off dream that she wanted but never quite knew how to grasp. But how do we forgive? She asked, eyes pleading for guidance. Her father took another deep breath, his gaze steadying on hers. We start by being honest about our feelings, about the memories that hurt. That means facing the moments we avoid, even the ones that make us feel small or helpless. Emma nodded slowly, understanding the weight of his words. What if we start by sharing our favorite memories of Mom? It might help us remember the love before we dive into the pain. A flicker of a smile passed over her father's face at her suggestion, and for the first time that afternoon, the shadows seemed to lift just a little. I love that idea. She always managed to fill our days with joy and laughter, like that time she tried to bake those cookies, and it turned into a flower fight in the kitchen. Or when she took us camping, and we ended up lost. Emma laughed, the sound light and joyous. The memories danced between them, wrapping around their hearts like warm sunlight breaking through clouds. Yes. And do you remember the way she would sing off-key but with all her heart? Everyone would join in rather than laugh at her, he said, chuckling now. We should keep singing, Emma declared, excitement bubbling within her. Not just songs, but the happiness she would encourage in us. The cafe around them buzzed with life, but in that moment, it felt like they were someone else, somewhere safe, sharing memories that were filled with light. Yet, the undercurrent of unaddressed sorrow was still lingering, a shadow in the corner that they couldn't avoid forever. What about the anger, Dad? Emma asked, her smile fading slightly. How do we address that? We need to confront it, not just shove it away under the rug. Her father sighed, the weight of truth settling back on his shoulders. You're right. I guess we have to acknowledge it first and not let it consume us. Maybe we could write about it, our feelings, our regrets. Get them out in the open and then we can let them go. What if we could somehow make those feelings tangible? Emma said, a spark of inspiration igniting. What if we wrote letters to her, said all the things we wished we could have told her? Or even the things we wish we had done differently? Her father's eyes widened, the intensity of her idea hitting him suddenly. That's brilliant. His voice was thick with emotion. We can write them and then read them out loud to each other. It'll be hard. But maybe it's the first step. A mix of fear and courage surged through Emma at that thought. Would they really be able to face everything? Or would it pull them apart? As they made tentative plans about how to proceed, she felt the growing hope of healing stirring inside her. Maybe their voices could rise above their pain, becoming a melody in harmony with their memories. Together? She asked, her heart pounding. Together, he affirmed, a promise laying beneath the single word. But deep down, Emma couldn't shake the feeling of anticipation that lurked just beneath the surface of this newfound resolve. Did they have the strength to face the demons, or would the weight of unbearable truths fracture what was starting to mend? With her thoughts awhirl, she couldn't help but wonder, what other truths lay hidden, waiting for their moment in the light. The cafe felt warm, yet Emma sensed a chill creeping back into their conversation. As they reminisced about her mother, laughter momentarily erased the heaviness, but shadows still loomed in the back of her mind. Do you want to start writing today? Emma asked suddenly. Her heart raced at the thought of laying bare their emotions on paper. It felt like both a relief and a burden. Her father looked thoughtful, his fingers tapping on the table. I think we should. But let us take our time, too. This is big, and we shouldn't rush it. I know, she said, swallowing hard. What if we took the next week? Write a letter each day? That gives us space to think. Good idea. He nodded, a small smile breaking through the clouds. We can share them next Sunday before dinner. Okay. Her heart thudded in her chest. Ideas raced through her head, each more complicated and painful than the last. But, Dad, what if I can't find the right words? Maybe it's less about the words and more about the intention behind them, he said softly. Just let the feelings spill out. Emma nodded, but the thought of raw emotions spilling onto the page filled her with dread. What if she opened a floodgate of sorrow she couldn't manage? As the cafe buzzed around them, she focused on the hum of conversation, the clinking of cups. Reality was still pressing heavily. They had yet to address the tangible anger that flickered like an unquenchable flame in the corners of her mind. "Dad?" She hesitated, her voice soft. "Are you angry?" It was a simple question, but the weight behind it felt immense. "I was," he admitted, his brow furrowing. "For a long time. Angry at everything, really. The world for taking her away, but also at myself for not noticing the signs. There's a lot of guilt tied in with that anger." Emma shivered, the cold truth of his words sinking in. "And what about now?" He leaned back in his chair, the creaking wood echoing their unspoken pain. "I'm learning to let it go. With every memory, I find a piece of that anger fades. The laughter is stronger, it chases the bitterness away at least a little bit." His honesty made her heart ache. "I thought I was the only one who felt that way," she said, tears brimming in her eyes. "Sometimes it feels like a weight I carry alone." "You're not alone, Emma. We're in this together." His voice was steady, an anchor in her stormy sea of emotions. Together. The word resonated between them, a small but powerful beam of hope shining through the cloudiness surrounding their past. Emma took a deep breath, steeling herself. "What if we faced the anger today? Just a little. We could write down the things that bother us most, what makes us angry, what we regret." Her father took a moment, his hand running through his hair. "Okay. Let us tackle this head on. We don't have to share it yet, just write for ourselves." With their resolve set, they pulled out napkins and pens, an unexpected intimacy forming in their quiet corner of the cafe. As she began to write, Emma felt words battling against her heart. This wasn't easy. Every stroke of the pen unearthed buried feelings she was almost afraid to confront. But she pressed on, tears spilling onto the paper. Time slipped away until her father looked up, his eyes glistening as well. "This is really hard, but I think we're doing something powerful here." Just then, the bell above the cafe door jingled. Emma's heart stuttered. She glanced up to see a familiar figure stepping inside a face she hadn't seen in years, a face that reminded her of long-forgotten memories. Her breath caught, and a mix of nostalgia and apprehension twisted in her stomach. "Dad?" Is that he followed her gaze, and for a moment, silence hung between them, thick with unspoken history. "What do we do?" Emma breathed, her courage wavering. The answer loomed, and they both felt the weight of it. Would this unexpected encounter bring closure, or would it unravel everything they had begun to stitch together? Emma's heart raced as she took in the figure across the cafe. It was Sam, her childhood friend, the one who had faded into the background after her mother passed. His hair was tousled, and he wore that familiar lopsided grin that once made her stomach flutter. But now, it felt like a ghost come back to haunt her. "What do we do?" she repeated, a mix of excitement and dread coursing through her veins. "Do you want to talk to him?" Her father's voice was gentle, yet it echoed the turmoil stirring inside her. Emma's thoughts swirled like leaves caught in a storm. Familiar feelings she had buried crept back in. The shared laughter, the innocent dreams, and the heartbreaking silence when everything changed. It felt surreal seeing him now. I don't know," she finally admitted. "What if it's awkward? What if I just make it worse?" Her father nodded, understanding etched on his face. "There's a chance it could be healing, too. Whatever happens, you won't be alone. I'll be right here." Equipped with her father's reassuring presence, Emma took a deep breath and pushed herself up from the table. Each step toward Sam felt like wading through thick mud, memories pulling at her like quicksand. As she got closer, Sam looked up. His expression turned from confusion to recognition, and for a heartbeat, she saw warmth flash in his eyes. "Emma?" "Hey," she managed, voice shaky yet brave, as she closed the distance between them. "Wow, it's been a long time," he said, scratching the back of his neck, a nervous habit she remembered well. "Yeah. A lot has happened." His expression shifted to something deeper, more contemplative. "I heard about your mom. I'm sorry. I should have reached out." Emma felt an unexpected wave of relief. "You don't have to apologize. None of us knew how to navigate it. I guess we all just drifted apart." Sam nodded, his gaze flickering to her father, still seated at the table, a supportive figure in the background. "And he help?" "More than I can say," she replied, glancing back at her dad, who offered a small smile of reassurance. "We're trying to work through everything together." Emma could see the pain flicker across Sam's face. "I wish I could have been there for you. I really do." "It's okay, Sam," she said, feeling a strange unity in their shared grief. "We're all just trying to find our way." For a moment, silence enveloped them. The cafe buzz faded away, and the world around them disappeared, leaving just the two of them standing there, with memories and unspoken words floating between them. "Do you want to sit?" she asked, gesturing toward the seat across from him. "Sure." As they settled into their seats, Emma couldn't shake the feeling of vulnerability. "I've been writing," she confessed, knowing it would open a door. "My dad and I are trying to express everything we haven't talked about." "Words can be powerful," Sam said softly. "They can hurt, but they can heal too." "I believe that." Emma smiled faintly, touched by his insight. Perhaps sharing the weight of their mutual loss could be the key to moving forward. "Would you?" She hesitated, heart beating faster. "Would you want to join us?" A spark of surprise lit Sam's eyes. "I mean, if that's okay. I'd like to." Just as a flicker of hope ignited within her, the bell chimed again, pulling her back to reality. Another familiar figure entered the cafe, and Emma's smile faded. This time, it was someone she hadn't thought about in years, and the tension in the air thickened. Her heart raced anew. What now? Would this bring them closer, or tear them apart once again? Emma felt the stirrings of both fear and anticipation, knowing this encounter was only the beginning of something bigger. Would they all face their pasts together, or would it unravel them? Emma's anxiety tightened its grip as she turned to see the new arrival Megan, her former best friend. The girl who had vanished from their lives when tragedy struck. The girl who should have been there beside her through the storm. The moment seemed frozen, each heartbeat echoing her inner turmoil. Megan spotted Emma, her surprise quickly morphing into a tentative smile. As she approached, the air hung heavy with unspoken emotions, a tapestry of shared history being woven anew. "Emma." Megan's voice was a mix of excitement and nervousness. "I didn't expect to see you here." "Yeah, it's been a while," Emma managed, her voice trembling. The memories of laughter filled with light and an overwhelming sense of loss rushed back. I've thought about you often," Megan said, her eyes searching for connection. "I'm sorry for what happened with your mom. I should have reached out." "Can we sit?" Emma asked, her heart beating wildly. It felt essential to establish a bridge, yet vulnerability flooded through her, leaving her raw. Megan nodded, her gaze flickering to Sam, who remained quiet but attentive. They might represent two sides of the same heartbreaking coin, old joy and unhealed pain. "Of course." Megan slid into the booth, the weight of silence pooling around them like a thick fog. The cafe buzzed on, life pulsating just outside their bubble of hesitation. Emma looked at her father, who offered a reassuring nod, a lifeline in the sea of uncertainty. She could feel that he recognized the importance of this moment. Now was the time to confront the past. "Both of you," Emma began, voice steadying. "You were such important parts of my life, but when everything fell apart we all drifted. I want to open that door again." Megan's eyes softened. "I've missed you. I missed us." Emma took a deep breath, her emotions spilling out. I was angry. Maybe we all were, but it hurt more being apart. I felt alone in my grief, and I didn't know how to reach out either. Sam nodded, understanding woven into his expression. It's so easy to lose your way when life gets dark. I felt the same, I just didn't know how to come back. A flicker of hope sparked as they began to share their stories. All those years lost echoed through the words, resonating in a way that felt healing. I think we all owe it to ourselves to face what we've been through together, Emma said, her heart racing. Maybe we can write letters to each other too. Share the things we couldn't say back then. Megan looked contemplative, her brow furrowing. That sounds powerful but also really scary. I've carried my own regrets. I think we all have, Sam added, looking at Emma and Megan. Writing might help us forgive ourselves and each other. As tentative agreement passed between them, Emma felt a sense of unity rebooting their connections. They could face their pasts, face the difficult emotions they'd buried in their hearts, and stand together. All right, Megan said finally, resolve shining in her eyes. Let us meet next week, like Emma and her dad. We can share what we've written and hopefully find some closure together. And as they shared laughter amidst the weight, Emma couldn't help but feel that maybe this was the turning point they all needed, a chance to stitch together what was once torn apart. To find their way through the tangled emotions and find healing in each connection they reclaimed. Days passed, and through countless cups of coffee and hours of dialogue, they poured words onto paper, brought light to darkness. Emma, Sam, and Megan found courage in vulnerability. Their hearts opened, not just to the pain but also to the laughter that remained. Finally, Sunday arrived. The three of them gathered in the cafe, each clutching letters filled with raw emotion, facing the breeze of new beginnings. One by one, they shared their words. Laughter intertwined with tears, buried hurts came to the surface, and slowly they constructed a tapestry of resilience. Emma took a breath as she realized that for every painful memory, there were two healing voices beside her. They transformed grief into strength, reminding her that love could fortify bonds, even amidst the hardest truths. As they wrapped up, Emma's father clasped her hand, pride flickering in his gaze. This is just the beginning, he whispered, his words dripping with hope. In that moment, with Megan and Sam at her side and her father's support behind her, Emma knew they had taken the first steps towards a future intertwined with love, understanding, and healing. Through the shadows, light emerged, transformation birthed from past pains. They were a tapestry woven together, each thread representing a piece of who they were, each knot a reminder of what they had conquered. And Emma held no fear of facing tomorrow. They would navigate it together. As she sat there, heart brimming with joy and sorrow, she felt a powerful urge to share this journey with others. To inspire others to reach out, to unravel their own chains, to embrace the community waiting to heal with love. Because that's what mattered most: connection, unity, and the sheer will to face life together. Now, if you resonate with Emma's transformative journey, here's what I need you to do. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that can spark change in your lives. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others find these heartfelt lessons. Comment below your thoughts and reactions to this ending. I want to hear your feelings. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. The impact we create together can change lives.